A long time ago, in a land where the people of Israel were ruled by the Philistines, lived a man named Manoah and his wife. They were good people, but they were sad because they had no children. One special day, an angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife. The angel brought amazing news. He told her that she would have a son, a boy who would begin to save Israel from their enemies. This son was a gift from God, and he would be special from the day he was born. She was filled with joy and wonder at this incredible promise. The angel gave very important instructions for this promised child. He was to be a Nazirite, which meant he was set apart for God his whole life. There were 3 special rules he had to follow to keep this promise. First, he must never drink wine or any strong drink. Second, he must not eat any food that was considered unclean. And third, the most famous rule of all, a razor must never touch his hair. His long hair would be a sign of his vow and his great strength given by God. These rules were a sacred pact between him, his family, and God. Manoah's wife listened carefully and told her husband everything the angel had said. Manoah prayed and asked the angel to return so they could understand how to raise this special boy. The angel appeared again and repeated the instructions to both of them. They understood that their son, who they would name Samson, had a great destiny. He was chosen by God for a very important purpose. They promised to follow all the angel's commands and prepared their hearts to welcome the miraculous child into their lives, knowing he was destined for greatness. As Samson grew from a boy into a young man, the Spirit of the Lord began to stir within him. His strength was unlike anyone else's. He could perform feats that no ordinary man could even dream of. This incredible power was a direct gift from God, linked to the Nazirite vow he kept. His long, uncut hair was a constant, visible reminder of his dedication and the source of his amazing abilities. The people of Israel saw this and knew that Samson was different. He was their champion, a man chosen to challenge the powerful Philistines who had oppressed them for so long. As a young man, Samson traveled to a Philistine town called Timnah. There, he saw a woman and decided he wanted to marry her. This was unusual, as his parents wanted him to marry an Israelite. On his way to see her, a young lion suddenly roared and attacked him. The Spirit of the Lord came upon Samson with great power. With his bare hands, he tore the lion apart as if it were a young goat. He told no one about this amazing deed. Later, he passed that same spot and found a swarm of bees had made a honeycomb inside the lion's body. He scooped out some honey and ate it. At his wedding feast, which lasted for 7 days, Samson decided to challenge 30 Philistine guests with a riddle. Out of the eater, something to eat. Out of the strong, something sweet, he said. He made a bet with them. If they could solve it, he would give them 30 fine sets of clothing. If they failed, they would have to give him the same. The riddle was clever, based on his secret encounter with the lion and the honey. The Philistines were completely stumped by the puzzling words and could not figure out the answer on their own. For days the Philistines struggled with the riddle. Growing desperate and angry, they went to Samson's new wife. They threatened to harm her and her family if she did not find out the answer for them. Terrified, she cried and begged Samson to tell her the secret. For a long time he refused, but she persisted until he finally gave in and explained the riddle's meaning. On the last day of the feast, the men came to Samson with the answer. "What is sweeter than honey? And what is stronger than a lion?" they said, revealing her betrayal. Furious that they had cheated, Samson was filled with a powerful rage. He went to another Philistine city, and with his God-given strength, he struck down 30 men and took their clothes to pay his debt. His anger also extended to his wife and her family for their betrayal. As an act of revenge for losing his wife, he caught 300 foxes. He tied them together in pairs by their tails and attached a burning torch to each pair. He then released the foxes into the grain fields of the Philistines, burning all their crops, vineyards, and olive groves, causing immense destruction. After his many battles, Samson's fame grew, but so did the Philistines' hatred for him. Eventually, he fell in love with a woman named Delilah, who lived in the valley of Sorek. The Philistine rulers saw this as their golden opportunity to finally capture their enemy. They went to Delilah and offered her a huge amount of silver if she could uncover the true secret of Samson's incredible strength. They wanted to know how they could overpower him, tie him up, and make him weak. Delilah, tempted by the great wealth, agreed to their wicked plan and began her mission to betray the man who loved her. Delilah started to ask Samson about his strength. "Tell me," she would say sweetly, "what makes you so strong?" 3 times, Samson lied to her. First, he told her that if he were tied with 7 fresh bowstrings, he would become as weak as any other man. The Philistines tried this while he slept, but he snapped the strings easily. Then, he told her to use new ropes that had never been used. Again, when the Philistines came, he broke the ropes from his arms like they were threads. He was toying with her, not realizing the grave danger he was truly in. His third lie was more elaborate. He told Delilah that if she wove the 7 braids of his hair into the fabric on a loom, his strength would be gone. She did as he said, weaving his long hair into the loom and tightening it. But when she cried out, "The Philistines are upon you, Samson!" he woke up and easily pulled his hair free from the loom and the web. Delilah was very upset. She complained that he was making fun of her and lying to her. She pleaded with him every single day, nagging and pressing him until his soul was vexed to death. Finally, worn down by her constant questioning, Samson gave up his secret. He told her everything. He explained that he was a Nazirite, dedicated to God from birth. "A razor has never been used on my head," he confessed. "If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." He had revealed the sacred vow that protected him. While he slept on her lap, Delilah called a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. His strength left him, and when the Philistines came this time, he could not escape. They captured him, gouged out his eyes, and made him a slave. Blinded and broken, Samson was taken to a prison in Gaza. The Philistines put him to work, forcing him to grind grain like an animal. He was once the strongest man alive, a champion of his people, but now he was a source of entertainment and mockery for his enemies. The once mighty judge of Israel was humbled and shamed. However, in his darkness and despair, something began to happen. Forgotten by his captors, his hair, the symbol of his Nazirite vow and the source of his strength, slowly started to grow back. God had not completely abandoned him. The Philistine rulers decided to hold a great festival to celebrate their victory and honor their god, Dagon, for delivering Samson into their hands. A massive crowd of about 3,000 men and women gathered in their great temple. To show off their prize, they brought Samson out from the prison to entertain them. The crowd laughed and jeered at the blind man who had once caused them so much terror. Samson was led between the 2 main pillars that supported the entire roof of the temple, a central point in the grand structure. Standing between the pillars, with one hand on each, Samson prayed a final, desperate prayer to God. "Sovereign Lord," he cried out, "remember me. Please, God, strengthen me just one more time, and let me with one blow get revenge on the Philistines for my 2 eyes." He asked for his strength to return for one last act. He felt a surge of power, the familiar might flowing back into his muscles. He knew this would be his final moment. He was ready to make the ultimate sacrifice to fulfill his destiny as a deliverer of his people. With all his might, Samson pushed against the 2 central pillars. "Let me die with the Philistines," he shouted. The massive stone columns began to crack and then gave way. The entire temple came crashing down with a deafening roar, killing everyone inside, including all the rulers of the Philistines and the thousands of people celebrating. In this one final act of sacrifice, Samson killed more of his enemies than he had during his entire life. His story teaches that God can use flawed people for his purposes, and that true strength comes from faith, which can be found again even after it is lost.